In this video, we're going to wrap up our vocabulary lesson talking about circles. And in the last video, we came across a couple of angles. We talked about central angles and inscribed angles. Now let's talk about the circumference of the circle is all of the points around the boundary of the circle. And so this part of the circle between A and B is called an arc of the circle. So an arc is a portion of the boundary of the circle. And this arc, we can write it as AB with a curved line on top of it. Remember, that's different from the line segment connecting A and B. The line segment connecting A and B is that line right there. That is AB with a straight line over it. But AB with a curved line over it is the part of the circle that connects A and B. We could also, when we talk about AB, we might also be talking about the part of the circle that goes all the way around the circle. Okay, so if we're talking about a huge part of the angle like that, what we will do to distinguish that is we'll make sure that we talk about the part of the circle that goes from A to B that passes through C. All right, and these two arcs that connect A and B, they're going to have different names. The small part is going to be called a minor arc, and the large one is going to be called a major arc. All right, so a minor arc covers less than half of the circle. A major arc is going to connect the same two endpoints, but it's going to cover more than half of the circle. If you're ever confused by the notation of something, always assume that it's the smaller arc, that it's the minor arc. All right, and there's one extra piece of vocabulary that's going to come up that we can talk about angle C and angle O. Notice that both of these angles have A and B as their endpoints. We can talk about how they subtend the arc AB. So subtend is just a fancy, some fancy vocabulary to talk about the part of the arc that's inside the angle formed by that angle. We say that that arc is subtended by the angle. Okay? And one last bit, I promised you that subtend was the last bit, but I lied. The other thing we might want to do when we're talking about an arc is we know how to measure the length of a line segment with a ruler. We can measure the size of angles with a protractor, but to measure the size of an arc, what we're going to do is we're going to measure this in degrees. And the rule we're going to use is that the number of degrees in the arc, which we're going to call the measure of the arc AB, is just going to be the measure of the central angle that subtends that arc. So if I wanted to know how large AB was, I hope this works. Yeah, it'll be kind of sketchy. Okay, so this is, somewhere around 41 or 42 degrees. So this arc is 42 degrees because that's the size of the central angle that subtends it. All right, so now that you've watched all 4 of these videos, you know about circles, you know about radius and diameter, you know about chords and tangents and secants, you know about central angles and inscribed angles, and you know about arcs, major arcs and minor arcs, and how arcs are subtended by angles and how to measure the size of an arc. This is all of the basic vocabulary that we're going to put together in order to talk about circles for the rest of this unit.